And it was formed in my living room in Buffalo, New York, when there were 4 people present. The biggest help at that time was Dr. Feroz Ahmed, because we did not know where the Sindhis were. So I called up Dr. Feroz, I knew him, and he sent me a list of 15 names. He used to publish in a magazine, Pakistan Democratic Forum or something. So he said, I got say 15 members that I mailed these magazines to. This is before the internet, this is before the emails. So everything was postal mail. So anyway, so we wrote a letter to these 15 people. If we are thinking of forming an association of Sindhis living in North America, what is your opinion? So initially, like I said, there were 4 people, and all 15 wrote back. They were very enthusiastic. The most enthusiastic person in that whole group was Khalid Ashwani. Khalid also called me 3 or 4 times. It's an excellent idea. Now we were about 25 people at that time. We said, well, we are going to have, let's form an association. Let's create a draft constitution, which I wrote. And we sent it back to all these people, 25 people. This is a draft constitution. If you would like to make a feedback, comments, changes, we will incorporate that, and we will, on ad hoc basis, approve it, and we will have the first election. But the condition was that people sitting in this room will not be candidates, will not be the first candidates. We have not formed this association for ourselves. So they will be from outside this group. So we picked up, and since Khalid Ashwani was the most enthusiastic person, he became the first president, and I think Gul Agha was the first general secretary, vice president, and treasurer was Israr Ansari from Toronto, and Safia Muhammad Ali, she still is an attorney in Washington DC. Sajid's sister, Sajid used to be our class fellow with Ghulam Nabi Morai, Iqbal Tareen, you remember Sajid?
Yeah. Oh yes, right.
Anyway, so the first executive council was elected by 25 people, became the first executive council of SANA. And Dr. Nazir Mughal, by the way, was the vice president, I believe, or general secretary, actually general secretary. And what happened was Dr. Nazir Mughal, after a few months, said he cannot continue. So after 6 months, we elected Altaf Memon as the first general secretary of SANA. SANA actually has evolved over 36 years. It has lived many times, it has died many times. Why it was formed? Yes, I think in 1983 there was an MRD movement, and there was a lot of resistance against General Zia in Sindh. And as a reaction to that, we used to get a lot of people visiting us, Hafiz Pirzada, Mumtaz Bhutto, Ataullah Mengal, I was in touch with him also at that time. And over in England, they had formed a Sindhi Baloch Pashtun Front. Mumtaz Bhutto, Sardar Ataullah Mengal, Hafiz Pirzada, there was a Afzal Bangash from KP. So they were all the founding members of that. So we said, well, let us also have a Sindhi association in North America. And to be honest with you, even our first draft constitution was stolen from the constitution of Sindhi Baloch Pashtun Front. I did that personally, so I'm guilty. So yes, it had a political touch. The constitution of SANA actually had a political touch in which we talked about the rights of the Sindhis.
Rights of the Sindhis.
Absolutely, and I think it is still there.
Self-determination.
There.
It's still in the bylaws.
Self-determination
is still in the bylaws, and that has not been changed.
Yeah, it's still there.
So, and even in those first few meetings, the people who used to come and speak, Makhdum Khalik was a speaker, Hafiz Pirzada was a speaker, his Hafiz brother Chatan Loranjo, Engineering College, Mujib was a speaker, Dr. Feroz Ahmed spoke.
SANA convention.
SANA conventions, yes. Mujib actually came to Buffalo and he spoke there. Khalik came to New York. Sai Ghulam Mustafa Shah was a speaker also.
Justice Sajjad,
Justice
Canada,
Sajjad, yes,
Yusuf Talpur, we
Absolutely.
brought everybody.
Yusuf Talpur was a speaker, you remember, in Toronto.
Yeah.
So yes, it had a strong political touch in the beginning, and we were talking, because the year was 1985 now, 83 was the MRD movement, and I believe in 87, I think when did Zia die, 85, 87 or 88? 88, and that was the meeting in New York, I remember, and there were supercharged speeches, about 6 or 7 politicians were there in the New York meeting, and 3 months later, Zia-ul-Haq died, and then Benazir became the Prime Minister. So Benazir immediately recognized the role that SANA had played, the expatriate Sindhi community living in North America had played for Sindh. That role obviously has faded away over the years. When Iqbal Tareen got elected, we thought that role would be revived. But it was revived for a shorter period of time but could not continue. Right now, obviously, you're right, SANA has become more of a community organization, and that also is understandable because I said SANA has evolved over years. We're talking of a new generation. We got children who have been born here. They've also come to SANA meetings. So now people are talking about, well, there has got to be community things, there have got to be picnics, there have got to be, lectures, there's got to be a Sindhi Doctors Association and I don't know what not. So all these things are kind of evolving from within SANA. But the main role of SANA, for which it was formed, obviously was for the rights of the Sindhis. And that really is something that we should never give up. We should continue to talk about that. And I hope the new leadership or the current leadership or the future leadership of SANA will pick up these roles and in a very positive way. We don't want to take political sides, let me be very clear. I was a senator from Pakistan People's Party, but I will not speak from a People's Party platform. We have to talk from a Sindh platform.
Yeah.
That is very important. And not necessarily when I say Sindhis, again I include everybody.
Yeah.
There is a Pathan sitting here,
Yeah.
right? There is a Baloch here. And there is an Urdu speaking there. So, there are Urdu speaking Sindhis, there are Saraiki speaking Sindhis. When I use the word Sindhi at the end, they are residents of Sindh. So Saraiki speaking Sindhis, Pashto speaking Sindhis, Urdu speaking Sindhis, and Sindhi speaking Sindhis. So we are all Sindhis and we should speak for the rights of Sindhis and we should talk about the development of Sindhis. And I think that is one role that I personally believe that either SANA or the Sindhi community, and if not the Sindhi community, then maybe even the Sindhis living in Houston can take the lead and we can talk about development of Sindh without taking any political sides. I don't care whether it's MQM. If they talk about Sindh, I'm happy with MQM. If People's Party talks about Sindh, I'm happy with PPP. But let's talk about the people of Sindh, let's talk about the development of Sindh, and let's talk about the poor people of Sindh. Yes. I would only make one correction when you say the national interest of different countries. There is no national interest, there is only a corporate interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whenever US wants to be in Pakistan, or there is a Cold War, or there is CPEC, there is a Chinese corporate interest, there is an American corporate interest, and even in Pakistan when you say military establishment, there is a corporate interest. So the fight literally is between the rich and the poor. So let us take the sides of the poor and not the sides of the rich.
Nice.
Let's not take any ethnicities. And I think then you have the whole Pakistan, actually the whole world at your footsteps. That is the fight we should do. We should talk about social development. We should talk about political development. We should talk about technological development. Let's talk about development. That's very important. And that is a forum perhaps that I would think perhaps of creating initially, maybe because right now the world has become very small. We can create a group on WhatsApp that is only going to talk about development of Sindh.
Wonderful.
We will not take any political sides. We will not criticize political parties. So the administrator will have a right even to remove members or delete comments. But because we will not criticize political parties, we will not take sides, we will only talk of the issues of Sindh, and that is very important.
That's great. That's great.
What one should do when the organization is detract from the mission?
That is for the general membership to decide. It's a democratic organization. They can take the organization into any direction they want.
So now we can.
Sure, please, sir. Yeah.
हिकिड़ी शइ जेकी ख़ाल मतिलबु जेको मूंखे नज़र आयो उहो इहो त तव्हांखे जॾहिं ई असां साना ठाहियूं था हिते अमेरिका में इन्हनि ठाही तक़रीबन 2-3 साल खां पोइ यूके में बि पैरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन खुली वर्ल्ड सिंधी कांग्रेस उहो बि इहे ई हफ़ीज़ पिरज़ादे वग़ैरह वारनि जे चवण जे करे उते साईं बुरली वारनि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन खोली उहा बि हाईली पॉलिटिकल हुई ऐं उनजो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पढ़ो त तक़रीबन सां मैच थो करे राइट जो सभु इंस्पायर उन ई खां हुया ऐं प्लस उते साईं मतलब पीपल्स पार्टी की लीडरशिप ऐं बलोचन जी मैंगर साहब वारनि जी कोशिश सां हुते बि हलंदी रही वर्ल्ड सिंधी कांग्रेस काफ़ी पॉलिटिकल सनात थोरो वधंदी बि वई हिते माण्हू घणा हुया पोइ छा थियो एट सम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू जॾहिं 5-7 साल गुज़रिया The World Sindhi Congress असां जॾहिं माण्हू में इन्वॉल्व थियूं हुते घणो जेतिरो आउं यूएस में रहंदुसि पर हुते मां सना में बि एक्टिव हुयुमि त हिकिड़ी शइ सां असां इनहेरेंटली कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग ॾिठी उहे दिस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट मां हुनखे सना सां रिलेट थो कयां छो त मां वर्ल्ड सिंधी कांग्रेस जी स्टोरी ॿुधायां जो असां वर्ल्ड सिंधी कांग्रेस जॾहिं कमु था कयूं न त असां हाईली पॉलिटिकल मोटिवेटेड हुयासीं ठीकु आहे जीअं शुरू में सम्झो सना हुई पोइ छा पियो थिए जो असांखे डिस्टिंक्टिव डिमांड्स पेई अचनि कम्युनिटी खां त असांखे सोशल कम बि खपे मां भई स्कूल बि खपनि माण्हू खे सेटल करायो ऐं असां करे नथा सघूं ॿई कम नथा करे सघूं पोइ असां पाण सना जी फ्रेमवर्क ते हिकिड़ी नई ऑर्गनाइजेशन ठाहीसीं यूके हुनजो नालो आहे यूके सिंधी एसोसिएशन अच्छा उहो ठहियल आहे सिंधी संघ जे नाले खां उहो कंप्लीटली सोशल एजुकेशनल कमु करे थी ऐं उनजी लोकल डायस्पोरा खे हेल्प थी करे ऐं जेको बि पॉलिटिकल कमु आहे उहो आउटसोर्स थी करे वर्ल्ड सिंधी कांग्रेस त मूंखे जेको हिते मां सना में 32 साल रहियो आहियां लाइफ नंबर आहे तव्हां 5-6 साल जूनियर आहियां ऐं मूं तमामु माना रेजिस्टेंस तव्हां त चयो न मूंखे इनवाइट कंदा त मां हले वेंदो मां बग़ैर इनवाइट जे बि सना में हले वेंदो आहियां पर मां ॾाढी रेजिस्टेंस पर्सनली बि ऐं पंहिंजे साथियुनि सां पंहिंजे हमख़्याल माण्हुनि सां रेजिस्टेंस पैदा कई आहे सना में त सना में जेको हुनजो पॉलिटिकल जेको हुनजो विज़न हुयो सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन वारो या जेको शुरू में साईं इक़बाल बि चए पियो या सिंध जी पॉलिटिकल साइड वारो उहो बरक़रार रही पर आउं सैडली थो चवां त उहा शइ नथी रही सघे सघां ऐं सम्झां थो त कम्युनिटी जो जेको मोटिव आहे ओवरऑल जेको लोएस्ट डिनोमिनेटर फैक्टर आहे न उहो समाज जो उतां ईंदो ऐं एतिरे हद ताईं उहा शइ आस्ते फिरी थिए ॾाकनि में फिरी पहिरियों पॉलिटिकल मां थोरो घटि थियासीं तालीम ते आयासीं समाज ते आयासीं हाणे अहिड़ी हालत थी वई आहे जो पाकिस्तानी एम्बेसडर बि अचनि था जीअं पाकिस्तान जा नाला बि रखनि था न त पॉसिबल ई न हुयो सोची सघो न ॿुधो पर हाणे थियनि त मुंहिंजी नज़र में मूंखे ईअं थो लॻे त सना जो जेकॾहिं सर्वाइवल आहे असांखे रियलिटी खे एक्सेप्ट करणु त सना जी समाजी ऐं कम्युनिटी ऑर्गनाइजेशन थी वई आहे तंहिंजे करे जेकॾहिं पॉलिटिकल शयूं तव्हांखे करणियूं आहिनि या त तव्हां हुनखे आउटसोर्स कयो या हुनजा हिकिड़ा स्पेशलाइज़ ग्रुप पोइ जीअं आउं सम्झां थो तंहिंजे करे मां पंहिंजी सॼी एजुकेशन वर्ल्ड सिंधी कांग्रेस खे ॾींदो आहियां थोरी घणी सना खे इन जे करे मुंहिंजी एस्पायरेशन पॉलिटिकल आहे त आउं वर्ल्ड सिंधी कांग्रेस में वठंदो आहियां जॾहिं मूंखे फंड ॾियणो हूंदो आहे 2-3 करोड़ तालीम लाइ त मां फेम फंड खे ॾींदो आहियां सना WF को बि स्कूल जो प्रोग्राम आहे ई कोन त मुंहिंजी उहा एस्पायरेशन WF पूरी न थी तंहिंजे करे मुंहिंजी ॿ एस्पायरेशन हिकु तरफ़ सना जी एस्पायरेशन जॾहिं सोशल ऐं तालीमी कमु थो थिए ऐं सम्झां थो त सना सोशल तालीमी ऐं कम्युनिटी कमु करे सघे थी पॉलिटिकल कमु नथी करे कुझु न इहा हुनजी इनहेरेंट डिफिकल्टी आहे ऐं तव्हां बि प्रेसिडेंट कया न तव्हां बि न करे सघो मुंहिंजी न
मां आख़िर में पंहिंजो हिकिड़ो ओपिनियन मूंखे मां बिलीव थो कयां त दिस का सिल्वर बुलेट न आहे दिस नो सिल्वर बुलेट ऐं जेके बि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन्स आहिनि चाहे उहा सना आहे वर्ल्ड सिंधी कांग्रेस आहे वर्ल्ड सिंधी इंस्टीट्यूट आहे UK सिंधी एसोसिएशन आहे ऐं ॿियूं काफ़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन्स आहिनि let them do what they do. Collectively, I think everybody is contributing something to the same cause. So, but just like मुझो ज़ाती ओपिनियन इहो आहे त तव्हां कंहिं बि मुल्क जी इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट पॉलिटिकल डेवलपमेंट या सोशल डेवलपमेंट खे पॉलिटिक्स सां अलॻि नथा करे सघो आई एम वेरी क्लियर अबाउट इट I'm very clear about it because we cannot leave the field of politics as a sin. This is what we have been taught. Politics is not a sin. It is a necessity for the survival. Everything is politics. Yes. Everything. I believe in. I've always believed this. If you do not fight politically, you can never have a development. That's exactly what is happening. The resources that Pakistan has, the resources that Sindh government has, how many of us can open one college or one university? Tell me, how many of you can do it? Sindh government can do it. They got money. They're supposed to be doing it. We just simply cannot let them off the hook because they're not doing it, so let them not do it and we're going to be doing it. No, we're not going to do it. Our job is to make them do it. Our job is to make them do their job. And that's the role that Sana can play and should play. असां इहो कोन्हे चऊं था सना जेका आहे उहो सिंधु देश ठाहींदी या सना जेका आहे उहा माखी जूं नदियूं ऐं खीर जूं नदियूं नो 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 that will be a very irrational expectation from Sana. But Sana, we have seen it, as Javaid said himself. Why did Benazir recognize, and she came and she recognized it? Not because we were singing and dancing, because we took a moral political stand that turned the heads of a lot of people. Wasn't that the reason, Javaid? So we have to continue that path. ऐं जेकॾहिं सना न कंदी त उनजी मर्ज़ी आहे सना जे लीडरशिप जी मर्ज़ी आहे पर आई थिंक टू एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम अदर्स नॉट टू डू इट आई थिंक दैट विल बी इरेशनल सो अल्टीमेटली समथिंग असांजी ख़्वाहिश आहे त सना शुड स्टिक टू द मिशन एज़ वेल वी आर नॉट सेइंग द सोशलाइज़ न कयो बिल्कुलु कयो मां जीअं चयो त $1 बिलियन जी ॻाल्हि आहे अॼु ॿार पाण में मिलनि था एक्रॉस कल्चरल मिंगलिंग थिए थी दैट्स द ग्रेटेस्ट ब्लेसिंग पर उन सां गॾोगॾु जेको आहे मिशन खे पंहिंजे प्राप्त That's all I have to say.